Story 1. As a realm watched over by Odin and esteemed as a sanctuary for the gods, Asgard stands proudly above the clouds, symbolizing a domain of unmatched tranquility and magnificence. It gazes down upon Midgard, boasting its most splendid palace Glim. This palace houses the golden seats of the two main gods, shining as brightly as the sun. Nearby, another splendid palace devoted to the goddesses mirrors Asgard's golden age. In halls adorned with gold, divine rules were set, ensuring everlasting harmony. The forge in Asgard was pivotal in creating both the magnificent tools and weapons needed for its grand structures. The awe-inspiring Bifrost or Rainbow Bridge spanned above Midgard, presenting a spectacle of beauty. The heart of Asgard was a verdant area filled with rolling hills and palaces decorated with gold, silver, and jewels. Here resided the Aesir gods, beings of noble essence, central to the myriad legends. However, the Vanir from Vanaheim also contributed to this celestial story. Historical disputes between these divine families eventually led to unity, symbolized by the exchange of hostages, representing a deep sacrifice in the peaceful coexistence of these godly families. Yggdrasil, the world tree, stands as a perpetual protector of the cosmos, its vast branches encircling all 9 realms in a life and destiny network. At its heart, the Norns, 3 powerful sisters known as the Fates, carefully nurture its roots, drawing vitality from 3 mystical wells. One root extends into Asgard, the gods' divine realm, fed by the Well of Erd named for the eldest Norn. Another root stretches into the frosty realm of Jotunheim, home to the frost giants. The giants draw life from the Well of Mimir, a place tied to a god known for his enduring wisdom, preserved in his decapitated head that remains animated through magical herbs and waters. A third path leads into a challenging territory near Afurjolmir, a spring emitting a scent of decay. Here, the fearsome dragon Nidhogg ceaselessly gnaws at the root, posing a threat that could weaken any lesser tree. Yet, Yggdrasil stands firm, an eternal link among all worlds, enabling communication across the realms. Its name, associated with Odin, carries dark hints, intertwined with tales of sacrifice and discovery. In his pursuit of the secrets of runes, ancient symbols of wisdom and power, Odin endured a painful sacrifice. He suspended himself from Yggdrasil's branches, suffering through 9 long days and nights, his cries of anguish echoing through the realms. This harrowing experience, though filled with pain, bestowed upon Odin unmatched control over the magical runes, affirming his role as the sole keeper of this deep knowledge. His newly acquired insights, shared with his allies, cemented his legendary status. Odin's rule spanned all 9 realms, from the celestial heights of Asgard to the underworld of Hel, and between these, the domains of the Vanir and Vanaheim, the mortal realm of Midgard, lands inhabited by light and dark elves, dwarves, frost and mountain giants, and the fiery giants of Muspelheim. Among these worlds, Asgard stands as the most renowned, a stage for our narrative, a realm of deities and legends at the core of ancient stories. Story 2. During Asgard's golden era, Odin led the 9 realms with fairness greatly admired by all. Asgard, under his rule, was a wondrous realm where time seemed to halt, and the vibrancy of youth and natural delights flourished. Known also as the Allfather, Odin was considered the patriarch of both humans and gods. He ruled from his throne, overseeing the realms, occasionally disguising himself to wander among gods and humans across the various worlds, keen on understanding their lives. Despite taking on many forms, Odin's identity was often revealed by his single eye, a unique feature that allowed him to see everything. Odin experienced numerous adventures, particularly before the gods' war and the onset of Ragnarok, with Asgard serving as the backdrop for many. These tales, rich with the exploits of the gods, capture some of their most thrilling narratives. Odin's throne in Asgard was more than a symbol of authority. It was from this vantage point that he observed the earthly domain and Asgard's divine dealings. Unlike the legendary muscular warriors, Odin's true power resided in his deep wisdom. Accompanying him were his two ravens, representing thought and memory, acting as conduits between him and the outside world, quietly conveying the secrets of the universe to him. Odin wielded a spear forged with unwavering determination by dwarfs, and on his finger he wore a ring representing the eternal cycle of life. At his feet lay two faithful wolves, Jiri and Freki, embodying his majestic aura and ensuring triumph in every pursuit. Odin's life was a rich blend of contrasts, seamlessly merging the realms of the tangible and the mystical. On the battlefield, he was an enigmatic figure, surrounded by ravens, wolves, and the Valkyries, who escorted the spirits of valiant warriors to the splendor of Valhalla. Valhalla, Odin's magnificent hall in Asgard, was awe-inspiring, with doors wide enough to accommodate entire armies. Its structure gleamed with polished spears, and its roof, adorned with golden shields, radiated like the sun. Within its walls, warriors chosen by Odin reveled in perpetual feasts and engaged in supreme tests of strength, their injuries healing instantly thanks to Valhalla's magic. By Odin's side was Frigg, the esteemed Earth Mother goddess, his consort who intricately wove the fabric of the universe with her celestial influence. Frigg, the deity of the sky, was cherished both on Earth and in Asgard, her essence as nurturing as the natural world itself. In this divine domain, where time yielded to the gods' commands, Odin and Frigg nurtured their offspring, including Thor, the vigorous god of thunder known for his red hair and spirited disposition, residing in his impressive fortress. Balder, the most virtuous and gentle, emanated innocence, while Hoder, blind yet fulfilled, relished in life's simple joys. Tyr, the courageous god of war, ventured across lands, his fame carved into every blade. Guarding Asgard's borders was Heimdall, the ever-watchful sentinel, his residence by the Bifrost Bridge signaling his ceaseless vigilance. Yet even in this golden epoch, Asgard concealed its enigmas. Loki, the embodiment of deceit and mischief, wove his schemes, standing in sharp contrast to the realm's harmony. His relationship with Odin sparked controversy, but his appetite for disorder was unmistakable. In the midst of the world tree, the narrative of Odin, Frigg, and the pantheon of Norse deities unfolded a tale of might, insight, and the perpetual interplay of cosmic forces. Story 3. Loki, known for his cunning, was a strikingly attractive troublemaker, his eyes alight with a particularly perilous sort of mischief. Despite his appealing appearance, his soul was dark and corrupt. However, for many years he coexisted peacefully in Asgard, entertaining the gods without causing serious harm beyond minor disturbances, akin to those of a jester. Because of this, the gods tolerated his presence, allowing him to marry and raise a family in Asgard. Loki's spouse was Sigyn, and their offspring were even more formidable than Loki himself. From a previous union with a giantess, he had 3 children: Fenrir, a fearsome wolf Jormungandr, a serpent or dragon that would grow so large it could encircle Midgard and Hel, a somber yet striking figure who would reign over the underworld, wielding authority over those who passed through her domain. Loki's penchant for trickery was well known throughout Asgard and the 9 realms, weaving his narrative tightly with that of the other deities. He often entangled himself in their affairs, sometimes offering counsel, other times merely causing frustration. His antics ranged from amusing to perilous. On one occasion, Loki's attention was captured by Freya, another deity, particularly by her exquisite necklace, an emblem of Earth's fertility that she wore constantly. Coveting the necklace, Loki found himself restless, consumed by the desire to claim it for himself. One night, Loki stealthily entered Freya's chamber, intending to steal her treasured necklace. Discovering he couldn't remove it while she slept, he transformed into a flea, biting the goddess to make her turn, allowing him access to the necklace, which he then silently took. Meanwhile, Heimdall, the vigilant guardian of the gods, detected the faint sound of Loki's transformation, a detail so subtle only he could perceive. He swiftly headed to the palace to confront the thief. Catching Loki in the act and ready to execute justice, Heimdall drew his sword. In response, Loki morphed into a thin blue flame, prompting Heimdall to become a rain cloud to extinguish him. As Loki shifted into a polar bear, Heimdall mirrored his form, and a fierce battle ensued. Ultimately, Loki attempted escape by becoming a seal, but Heimdall, matching his transformation, fought and reclaimed the necklace. There's another tale where Loki's cunning served a nobler purpose. A peasant, having lost a bet to a giant, risked his son as collateral, leading to despair when the giant came to collect. The peasant and his wife sought Odin's help, who transformed their son into a grain of wheat, hiding him among a field of wheat. However, the giant, underestimating neither Odin's wit nor the situation, pinpointed the exact grain hiding the boy and claimed his prize. This story illustrates not just Loki's mischief but also his intricate involvement in the lives of gods and mortals alike, showcasing a range of outcomes from his actions. Just as the giant was about to consume the grain containing the peasant's boy, Odin intervened once more. He reclaimed the grain from the giant's grasp, reverting the boy back to human form. Odin then apologized to the peasants for the turmoil caused and, acknowledging the limits of his aid, departed. The giant, enraged by the deception and adamant in his claim, swore to return and collect his due. In desperation, the peasants appealed to Thor, who compassionately descended to earth. Thor transformed the boy into a soft feather, concealing him within the chest of a swan that smoothly sailed across the stream near the peasant's dwelling. Yet the giant's return was swift, and his discovery of the boy's new form was quicker still. Seizing the swan, he was about to decapitate it when Thor heard the boy's plight and intervened, restoring the child to his parents before vanishing with a final word on his inability to further assist. Facing imminent despair with the giant's relentless pursuit, the peasants turned to Loki for aid. Loki, responding immediately, took the boy to the sea and hid him inside an egg within the roe of a flounder. The giant, observing Loki's return, deduced the boy's new hiding place. He ventured into the sea with a fishing rod and before long caught the flounder. As he retrieved the egg from the fish, Loki made a timely return, snatching the egg from the giant's hands. He transformed it back into the boy, ensuring the child's safe return to his parents. This sequence of divine interventions showcases the varying degrees of assistance offered by the gods, with Loki's cunning ultimately ensuring the boy's safety, highlighting his multifaceted nature as both a trickster and, in certain moments, a protector. Loki confronted the giant, employing his own brand of justice by severing the giant's leg and using it to strike him. Despite the giant's ability to instantly heal and resume his original shape, his determination to claim the boy drove him towards the peasant's home. Just as the giant nearly succeeded, Loki executed a cunning strategy. He once again cut off the giant's leg, this time discarding it to prevent reattachment, and replaced the missing limb with a spear of metal. The knowledge that magic loses its power against metal sealed the giant's fate, leading to his defeat. The peasants celebrated their deliverance, lavishing praise upon Loki, whose ego swelled with pride as a result. Loki's involvement in the tapestry of Asgard's mythology continued to grow, making his name a common utterance among its denizens. Story 4. One beautiful day, Odin, Loki, and Honir set out on one of their usual journeys to ensure all was well across the worlds. Hunger struck them as they traveled, leading them to decide on cooking an ox for sustenance. They selected a prime ox from a nearby field, slaughtered it, and set it to roast over a fierce fire. However, after hours of cooking, they found the meat remained raw inside, much to their dismay. Puzzled but undeterred, Honir returned the ox to the fire, hoping for a better outcome after more time. Yet, even after an additional wait, the meat was still uncooked, as if the fire had no effect on it. Suddenly, an eagle appeared, perched atop a tree nearby, watching them with a look of contentment. Odin, expressing their plight to the eagle, learned that their meal would remain uncooked unless the eagle willed it otherwise. The gods, intrigued by this rare challenge to their authority, listened as the eagle proposed a deal that would allow the meat to cook in exchange for its fill of the ox. Driven by hunger, Odin consented to the arrangement. In no time, the meat was perfectly cooked, and the eagle swooped down, causing a whirl of ashes as it began to feast. This encounter marked a rare instance where the gods found themselves at the mercy of another's will, engaging in a bargain that underscored the interconnected and often unpredictable nature of their relationships with other beings in the mythological cosmos. Following the eagle's abrupt departure and the vanishing of their meal, Loki was especially infuriated, unaccustomed as he was to being outwitted. Demanding the eagle's identity in anger, he received only laughter in response. In a fit of rage, Loki armed himself with a burning log and approached the eagle, which deftly evaded and teased him. Eventually, the eagle seized the log, and with Loki unable to release his grip, carried him high into the sky. Amidst Loki's protests and fear, the eagle revealed himself as Thjazi, a formidable giant, offering freedom only if Loki swore to deliver the goddess Idun and her life-sustaining apples outside Asgard's protection. Reluctantly, Loki agreed, aware of the grave implications of his promise. Upon being released, Loki, shaken, reunited with Odin and Honir but concealed the encounter's details. The pact he struck with Thjazi burdened him with a potential catastrophe without Idun's golden apples. Asgardians would lose their eternal youth, placing the blame for their decline squarely on Loki. Haunted by the enormity of his decision, Loki observed Idun in her garden, her innocence amplifying the weight of his treachery. He was now ensnared in a dilemma of his own making, facing the dire consequences of his actions not just on himself but on all of Asgard. This episode illustrates Loki's complex nature, capable of both causing and resolving crises, often with unforeseen consequences for himself and others. Amid the rejuvenating essence of spring that Idun brought to everything she touched, Loki found himself in a moral quandary. Despite understanding the catastrophic consequences of removing Idun from Asgard, he felt compelled to honor his oath to Thjazi. Thus, under the guise of a casual suggestion, Loki deceitfully lured Idun outside Asgard's protective boundaries. He fabricated a tale about discovering a tree laden with enchanted apples, akin to Idun's own, which were unique for their ability to replenish magically and sustain the god's youth. Persuaded by Loki's assurances and intrigued by the possibility of another source of her magical apples, Idun accompanied him. However, this decision was her undoing, as Thjazi, seizing the moment, abducted her along with her basket of eternal apples. Loki, harboring the weight of his betrayal, silently returned to Asgard, leaving its inhabitants unaware of Idun's fate. The absence of Idun and her apples soon took its toll on the gods, as signs of aging quickly manifested, eroding their divine vigor and joy. Asgard transformed, its once vibrant aura dimming with the gods' despair for Idun's return. Heimdall, having witnessed her departure with Loki, revealed this to the gods, prompting an urgent quest led by Odin to confront Loki and rectify the grave situation he had engineered. This episode in the Norse mythological narrative highlights the pivotal role Idun's apples played in maintaining the gods' eternal youth and the disastrous impact of Loki's actions on Asgard. It underscores Loki's complex nature, capable of profound deception, and the consequences that arise from the intertwining of fate, oaths, and the inherent dangers of trickery. Loki, confronted with Odin's wrath over Idun's disappearance, resolved to bring her back himself. He pondered the daunting task of venturing to Thjazi's realm in the skies, a feat complicated by his inability to fly. However, inspiration struck Freya's feathered cloak, which granted the power of flight. Freya, distressed by the loss of her beauty and its implications for her role in attracting warrior souls, eagerly lent her cloak to Loki. Dressed in Freya's magical hawk cloak, Loki located Thjazi's stronghold and found Idun alone, momentarily unguarded by Thjazi's daughter, Skadi. Seizing the opportunity, Loki transformed Idun into a hazelnut, securing her and her precious basket of apples, and took to the skies toward Asgard. But their escape didn't go unnoticed. Skadi's timely return and immediate alarm brought Thiazi, now in his giant eagle form, in hot pursuit. As Loki, bearing the hazelnut form of Idun, neared Asgard, the gods, witnessing the imminent danger, sprang into action. Freya's anxious declaration about the Hawk's inferior speed prompted a quick, collaborative effort to save them. Tyr led the charge, assembling a massive pile of wood shavings, setting the stage for an ingenious defense against Thiazi's relentless chase. This critical moment highlights not only Loki's multifaceted character, blending guile with a rare drive to rectify his wrongs, but also the gods' unity in the face of threat. It underscores the myth's intricate portrayals of vulnerability, redemption, and the collective effort to preserve the divine order and well-being of Asgard. As Thiazi, transformed into a giant eagle, pursued Loki back to Asgard, the gods prepared a trap with a pile of wood shavings. Tyr ignited the shavings, and as Thiazi crossed over, he was set ablaze. The inferno stripped the giant of his feathered form, causing him to plummet to the earth, where he met his end in a fiery demise. Amidst this chaos, Loki emerged, shaken but whole, alongside Idun, who remarkably remained unscathed by the ordeal. With her return, Idun distributed her rejuvenating apples to the gods, restoring their youth and vitality. However, the resolution of one conflict swiftly gave rise to another. Skadi, Thiazi's daughter, appeared at Asgard's walls, mourning her father and demanding retribution. Odin, in an effort to quell her thirst for vengeance, reminded her of her father's initiating role in the sequence of events. A compromise was reached. Skadi would be allowed to choose a husband from among the gods, judging solely by their feet. Confident in her selection, believing she had chosen Balder for his purity, Skadi was surprised to find that she had selected Njord, the sea god known for his impeccably clean feet, washed by the ocean's sands. Thus, a union was formed between the mountain-dwelling Skadi and the sea-faring Njord, symbolizing a harmony of contrasting elements. In a final act of closure, Loki, using Freya's cloak, carried Thiazi's embers to the heavens, where they became the twin stars named after the giant, shining eternally in the northern sky as a reminder of the events that unfolded. This narrative encapsulates themes of conflict and reconciliation, illustrating how even in a realm of gods and myths, the pursuit of peace often necessitates compromise and understanding. The transformation of Thiazi's embers into stars serves as a poignant symbol of legacy and remembrance, ensuring that the stories of Asgard, with their lessons of resilience and unity, are preserved in the night sky for posterity. Story 5. In the Hall of Volsung, during the joyous occasion of Sine's marriage to King Siggeir of Gothland, an extraordinary event took place. Sine, Sigmund's twin sister, saw her union celebrated by the entire kingdom. Amid the hall stood the Branstock, a magnificent living oak tree integral to the hall's structure, cherished by the Volsung family as a bearer of good fortune. As festivities filled the hall with merriment, an enigmatic figure entered, capturing the assembly's attention. This stranger, clad in a wide-brimmed hat, bore the unmistakable mark of divinity with one eye and feet marked by travel. In his grasp shimmered a sword of such craftsmanship it appeared forged from gold itself. Approaching the Branstock, he thrust the sword into the oak's trunk, announcing that whoever could remove it would claim it as their own, promising victory in battle to its wielder. Then, as suddenly as he appeared, the figure departed, leaving a hushed reverence in his wake. Odin himself had graced them with his presence. The challenge ignited a fervor among the men, each eager to prove his worth. Yet, despite their efforts, the sword remained steadfast, unmoved by the attempts of King Volsung's sons and even the king. Silence fell upon the hall as Sigmund, the least likely among them, approached. With a decisive pull, Sigmund freed the sword, a feat that marked the beginning of his legend as the greatest Viking warrior. a legacy punctuated by countless victories. As time wore on, Sigmund faced his final battle, lying wounded on the battlefield. In these last moments, the lineage of the Volsungs seemed poised to end with him. His closing words, imbued with the weight of his life's trials and triumphs, echoed the saga of a family entwined with the gods' will, a story that would immortalize the Volsungs in the annals of myth. As Sigmund lay dying, his wife Hjordis tended to him, her grief palpable. Sigmund confided in her about his final encounter with Odin, acknowledging the divine intervention that heralded his defeat and subsequent destiny in Valhalla. Yet, even in this moment of farewell, he offered a prophecy of hope the child that Hjordis carried would surpass him in valor, destined to wield his sword and achieve unparalleled greatness. Following Sigmund's death, Hjordis's path led her to Alf, the son of the Danish king, who became her husband, unaware of the child's true lineage. The boy, named Sigurd, would grow to fulfill the legacy foretold by his father. Meanwhile, the tapestry of Norse mythology weaves Sigurd's destiny with the deeds of gods, Odin, Hoenir, and Loki, while journeying in Midgard, engaged in a seemingly mundane act of fishing that precipitated unforeseen consequences. Loki's impulsive killing of an otter, belonging to a family capable of magical transformation, sparked a chain of events intertwining the fates of gods and mortals. This otter, slain for their meal, belonged to the family of Hreidmar, who upon discovering the deed demanded reparation. The narrative threads of Sigurd's emerging story and the gods' earthly interventions illustrate the interconnectedness of fate within Norse mythology. Here the stage is set for Sigurd to rise, intersecting with the divine machinations and mortal legacies, marking the continuation of epic sagas that define the rich tapestry of these ancient tales. Odin, addressing the angered Hreidmar referred to here as Kedmar and Krier for narrative continuity, invoked the sacred hospitality decreed by the gods, oblivious to Hreidmar's personal tragedy caused by their actions. Hreidmar, grieving the loss of his son, who had been slain in his otter form by Loki, demanded an extraordinary reparation, his son's skin filled with gold and covered so thoroughly that not a single hair remained visible. To fulfill this demand, the trio set off to seize the treasure of Andvari, a dwarf known for his vast hoard of gold and jewels, and his ability to transform into a pike. Loki's guile led them to Andvari's transformation back to his dwarven form and the relinquishment of his treasures. However, Loki's attention was captured by a glinting ring, the last of Andvari's possessions, which was cursed to bring ruin to its possessor. Undeterred by the curse, Loki claimed the ring, completing their collection of gold. Upon their return, Hreidmar's scrutiny revealed a single exposed whisker on his son's otter skin, declaring the gods' efforts insufficient and threatening their lives. Loki, presenting the cursed ring as a solution, reluctantly offered it to cover the remaining whisker, despite its ominous curse. Hreidmar, driven by his desire for the gold, accepted the ring, unknowingly welcoming the disaster it was bound to bring. This tale intricately weaves themes of retribution, the inevitability of fate, and the complexities of divine intervention in the mortal realm. It highlights the precarious balance between justice and avarice, illustrating how the gods' interactions with the world of mortals often resulted in unintended consequences, setting the stage for further tales of heroism, tragedy, and the relentless pursuit of destiny in Norse mythology. The departure of Odin, Hoenir, and Loki marked the beginning of the curse's ominous fulfillment on Hreidmar and his family. Hreidmar's greed, inflamed by the cursed golden ring, led to a tragic end when his son Fafnir, driven by avarice, committed patricide and transformed into a fearsome dragon to hoard the accursed treasure. Meanwhile, Regin, distanced from the immediate impact of the curse, nonetheless found himself ensnared by the same greed that had doomed his family. Observing the potential in Sigurd, Sigmund's son who was under his tutelage as a blacksmith, Regin saw an opportunity to claim the treasure for himself. He proposed to Sigurd the challenge of slaying Fafnir, framing it as a rite of passage to honor his father's legacy. Eager to prove his valor, Sigurd embarked on a quest to find a suitable steed for the confrontation with Fafnir. In the forest, he encountered a mysterious old man with one eye, undoubtedly Odin in disguise, who advised him on testing the horses. After sending them across a river, only one horse, a magnificent gray stallion named Grani, a descendant of Odin's own steed, Sleipnir, returned to Sigurd's side, proving its superiority and loyalty. This encounter, subtly orchestrated by Odin, not only equipped Sigurd with a worthy companion but also hinted at the divine interest and influence in his destiny. Sigurd's journey, interwoven with the fates of gods and mortals alike, was set to become a saga of heroism, vengeance, and the inescapable reach of cursed fortunes, embodying the intricate tapestry of Norse mythology where the lines between fate, valor, and tragedy are eternally entwined. Encouraged by the mysterious old man, unmistakably Odin, Sigurd named his new companion Grani, promising a shared future of adventure and battle. On informing Regin of his encounter and his need for a formidable weapon, Sigurd set in motion the crafting of a sword capable of slaying Fafnir, the dragon. However, the initial attempts at forging such a weapon ended in failure, as each sword shattered upon testing. Regin's eagerness to see the dragon slain and the treasure reclaimed sparked suspicion in Sigurd, prompting him to seek his mother Hjordis's counsel. Hjordis revealed to Sigurd his true heritage as the son of King Sigmund and entrusted him with the shattered pieces of his father's sword, suggesting that only this reforged blade could ensure victory over Fafnir and safeguard against Regin's hidden motives. Armed with this knowledge and the fragments of his father's legacy, Sigurd returned to Regin, who undertook the task of reforging the legendary sword. Miraculously, the sword was reborn from the flames, stronger than ever, effortlessly splitting the anvil in two, a testament to its divine origin and Sigurd's rightful claim to his father's prowess. With the sword now in hand, Sigurd and Regin approached Fafnir's lair. Regin, consumed by the lust for the cursed treasure, implored Sigurd to venture forth and confront the dragon. This moment marked the culmination of Sigurd's journey from apprentice to hero, stepping into his destiny, not just as a formidable warrior but as a key figure in the unfolding saga of gods, men, and the intertwined fates dictated by ancient curses and divine intervention. The legacy of the Volsungs, carried forth by Sigurd, continued to shape the mythical landscape, embodying themes of bravery, betrayal, and the quest for redemption within the rich tapestry of Norse mythology. Sigurd, heeding Regin's warning about the dragon's blood, set forth to confront Fafnir. Yet the mysterious one-eyed man, clearly Odin, appeared once more to counsel Sigurd, contradicting Regin's advice and instructing him to bathe in the dragon's blood for invincibility, but to approach from behind to avoid the dragon's fiery breath. Trusting in Odin's wisdom, Sigurd skillfully defeated Fafnir, bathing in his blood and inadvertently leaving just a small patch on his back unprotected due to fallen leaf. After slaying the dragon, Regin's greed led him to request Sigurd to prepare Fafnir's heart for him, hoping to ingest a portion of his brother's power. While tending to the heart, Sigurd accidentally tasted Fafnir's blood, granting him the ability to understand the speech of birds. The birds revealed Regin's intention to betray Sigurd, who then acted swiftly to eliminate the threat Regin posed. As Sigurd collected the treasure, including the cursed ring, the birds warned him against it, highlighting the ring's perilous nature. Despite their caution, Sigurd, now endowed with knowledge and power beyond ordinary men, claimed the treasure, setting the stage for future tales woven with themes of destiny, power, and the inevitable influence of cursed fortunes. This pivotal moment in Sigurd's saga underscores his transition from a promising youth to a figure of unparalleled prowess in Norse mythology. His journey, marked by divine interventions, the fulfillment of prophecies and confrontations with greed and treachery, continues to captivate as a testament to the complexities of fate and the enduring quest for heroism in the face of insurmountable odds. Sigurd, dismissing the bird's warnings about the cursed ring, continued on his journey, drawn towards a radiant castle enveloped in a mystical light. Guided by fate, or perhaps by the unseen hand of destiny, he crossed into the castle's grounds, where he discovered not a knight as he had expected, but a woman of extraordinary beauty, clad in armor, lying in a state of enchanted sleep. Upon removing her helmet, Sigurd was struck by an immediate and profound love for this warrior maiden, known to some as Brunhild, believed by others to be a manifestation of Sigurd's own destiny. This encounter, sparked by curiosity and sealed with the gifting of the cursed ring, intertwined their fates irrevocably. Brunhild, whether a daughter of Odin or a creation of Sigurd's own destiny, became an integral part of his saga, marking the beginning of a series of events shaped by love, prophecy, and the inescapable curse of the ring. Their love, instant and intense, hinted at a preordained connection, suggesting that their paths were meant to cross in this grand tapestry of myth, where gods meddle in the affairs of mortals and the lines between fate and free will blur. The ring, now on Brunhild's finger, not only symbolized their union but also carried the weight of its curse, setting the stage for the trials and tribulations that would follow. Thus, the saga of Sigurd, enriched by his encounter with Brunhild, unfolds further, weaving a narrative of heroism, enchanted bonds, and the looming shadow of cursed treasures. Their story, replete with adventures, challenges, and the complexities of love and destiny, continues to resonate as a testament to the enduring power and depth of Norse mythology. Story 6. Thor, renowned among the Aesir as the god of thunder, resided in the magnificent realm of Thrudvangur, within his grand palace, Bilskirnir. Esteemed for his formidable presence, marked by intense eyes, robust physique, and a distinctive red beard, Thor epitomized the warrior deity. His reputation extended far beyond Asgard, revered as the protector of mortals, embodying brute force through his legendary hammer, Mjolnir, crafted by the Dark Elves. Symbolizing not just might in war, Thor's influence spanned the realms of agriculture and the very essence of the earth, immortalized in the naming of Thursday after him. Thor's spouse, Sif, was celebrated for her lustrous golden hair, reminiscent of the sunlit fields of Asgard, a trait that mirrored her own radiant beauty. However, her breathtaking hair ensnared Loki's mischievous mind, sparking a devious scheme as he coveted its splendor. One night, under the cloak of darkness, Loki crept into Sif's chamber, his intentions shadowed by the moon's eerie glow. This act, driven by Loki's insatiable curiosity and penchant for chaos, set the stage for one of his many infamous antics. Unbeknownst to him, this particular mischief would unravel consequences, weaving a complex narrative that further entangled the fates of gods and men, showcasing the intricate dynamics of Norse mythology where actions, even those driven by whimsy or malice, could have profound and far-reaching implications. Loki, driven by the urgency of Thor's threat and his own survival, ventured to the realm of the dwarfs, seeking to remedy the chaos he had caused. His plea for assistance led him to Dvalin, a master among the dwarfs, known for crafting items of unparalleled power and beauty. Entrusted with the daunting task of creating gifts to appease not only Thor but also Odin and Freya, Dvalin set to work, his forge alight with the promise of redemption for Loki. The first of Dvalin's creations was a spear, destined to never miss its target, a weapon befitting the war god Odin. Next, he crafted a ship, capable of navigating without wind, a marvel that could traverse both sea and air, compact enough to be stored in a small box yet expansive when unfurled. Finally, Dvalin wove golden threads into a head of hair for Sif, so radiant and perfect that it took the breath away from all who saw it. This magical hair, upon contact with Sif, would integrate seamlessly with her own, restoring her beauty and Thor's favor towards Loki. Loki's return journey to Asgard was marked by a newfound confidence, his mission seemingly accomplished. However, his encounter with two other dwarfs hinted at further twists in his tale, as the complex web of Norse mythology often saw deeds and their consequences unfold in unexpected ways. Loki's actions, driven by a mix of mischief, ingenuity, and a desperate need to avert disaster, underscore the intricate interplay of character and fate that permeates the sagas of gods and heroes, where every solution begets new challenges in the timeless dance of divine drama. Loki, ever the trickster, found his confidence shaken as the dwarfs Bravery and Sindri boasted of their superior craftsmanship. Intrigued and challenged by their claims, Loki couldn't resist making a wager, staking his own head on the outcome, confident in the unparalleled quality of the gifts forged by Dvalin. Bravery and Sindri set to work, their forge ablaze with the promise of creations that would harness the magic of the Earth's core itself. Sindri, tasked with the crafting, chose to forge a wild boar for Freya, imbuing it with golden splendor and extraordinary powers, while Bravery managed the bellows, a vital role given the extreme temperatures needed for their ambitious endeavor. Loki, witnessing their dedication and skill, realized the potential threat to his wager. Desperate to ensure his own safety and the superiority of his procured gifts, he schemed to disrupt their work. Transforming with the swiftness characteristic of his divine nature, Loki interfered, hoping to thwart the dwarf's efforts and secure his victory. This episode, showcasing Loki's cunning and the dwarf's formidable skill, adds another layer to the rich tapestry of Norse mythology, where the actions and competitions of gods and mythical beings intertwine with themes of creativity, rivalry, and the quest for excellence. Loki, in his desperation to disrupt Bravery and Sindri's work, transformed into a gadfly, targeting Bravery with painful stings. Despite Loki's persistent attempts to interfere, Bravery persevered, continuing to work the bellows with unwavering determination. Sindri's creations emerged from the forge imbued with remarkable qualities, each surpassing the last in both beauty and power. The boar, gleaming with a light rivaling that of the sun itself, was forged as a gift for Freya, embodying strength and illumination. Next, a ring symbolizing fertility was crafted, with the miraculous property of producing 8 new rings every 9th night, a testament to Sindri's unparalleled skill and the magical essence of their craft. The final endeavor, under Loki's relentless sabotage, was the creation of a hammer intended to possess unmatched might. Despite Bravery's formidable resilience, Loki's final assault caused a momentary lapse. This brief distraction, while attempting to clear the blinding blood from his eyes, introduced a flaw into what was meant to be a flawless creation. When Sindri returned to reveal the hammer, it was discovered that due to the momentary disruption, the hammer's handle was shorter than intended. Despite this imperfection, the hammer, later known as Mjolnir, would become one of the most iconic symbols within Norse mythology, renowned for its power to protect Asgard from its enemies, especially the giants, and its ability to return to Thor's hand after being thrown. The handle was short and awkward to hold. Brokey felt let down, but Sindri reminded him that the hammer's abilities would far outweigh its diminutive size. In fact, she suggested its small size could be an asset, as it could be easily concealed in a person's clothing. So Brokey collected the treasures and took them outside to Loki, who escorted the dwarf back to Asgard with the loot. Odin received the ring, Frey received the boar, and Thor was given the hammer. Loki then gave Sif her golden hair, which when she put it on her trimmed head, attached itself and grew in curls and waves down to her feet, shining brighter than before. Odin received the spear, and Frey got the ship. Each deity was thrilled with their present, celebrating and praising the dwarfs and the reformed Loki. However, Brokey interrupted the festivities to reveal the bet Loki had initiated. The gods, admiring their wonderful presence, concluded that, while Sif's hair was undeniably stunning, Brokey's presents were superior in enchantment, particularly because Thor's hammer was impressively potent, yet concealable for sudden use against the frost giants. Loki's scheme had backfired, and he dashed away before Brokey could claim his victory and behead him. Brokey was furious and begged Thor to help catch Loki, who was already fleeing swiftly. Feeling the sting of Sif's distress, Thor launched a lightning bolt, snagging Loki by the ankles and bringing him back to face his punishment from Brokey and his brother. Yet when the dwarfs received Loki, Thor felt a surge of compassion and told Brokey he could take Loki's head but must avoid harming his neck, as the neck was Thor's claim. Naturally, it was impossible to separate a head from its body without touching the neck, leaving Brokey seething with anger. Eventually, Brokey devised an alternative punishment. He used his brother's hefty owl to pierce Loki's lips, then threaded them shut with an indestructible wire. It took several days for Loki's cries of agony to stop, and even longer for him to cut the wire and be able to speak. Loki remained silent for nearly 100 days, his lips too sore to use. When he finally began to talk again, Thor and everyone in Asgard regretted the outcome of the bet. Story 7. Thor was setting off for Jotunheim, bringing Loki along this time. Since Loki's recent mischief involved stealing Sif's hair, Thor thought it best to keep Loki close under his watchful eye. They journeyed in Thor's chariot, and as evening approached, they found themselves at a peasant's home where they asked for lodging. The peasant, his wife, and their 2 children, who lived in a modest hut, offered the little food they had to their divine guests. Thor, with a hearty appetite, quickly realized the food wouldn't suffice for everyone. To solve this, he brought his 2 goats inside, slaughtered them, and cooked them over the fire, instructing that the bones be kept intact and placed on his cloak. The peasant family, having not eaten meat in a long while, indulged eagerly. However, the peasant, getting carried away, broke a bone to suck the marrow when Thor was distracted. After the meal, Thor collected the bones, placed them outside, and the gods went to sleep. Come morning, Thor revived the goats by laying his cloak over the bones, only to discover one goat was limping, its leg visibly damaged. Thor was livid, outraged that his instructions were ignored, and realized he'd have to leave the injured goat behind, a consequence of the peasant's carelessness. Incapable of journeying due to its injury, Thor, ready to punish the family for the harm done to his goat, raised his hammer in anger. It was then the peasant stepped forward, admitting his sole responsibility for the damage and pleading for mercy for his family. Reluctantly, Thor consented to spare them in exchange for the service of the peasant's children, Thialfi, a robust boy, and Roskva, a charming girl, who would now serve him for life. Leaving the goats with the peasant, Thor and his new companions continued on foot, the chariot left behind until the goat was well enough to travel. The land was unwelcoming and chilled, the water foul, tainted by the giant's presence, souring Thor's mood further. As night approached, they sought shelter, finding a massive hall in which they curled up to rest. Their sleep was short-lived. A loud banging and the ground's trembling awoke them. The children, terrified, were quickly silenced by Thor, who led them to an alcove for safety, where they finally found rest. Come morning, the travelers ventured out, only to freeze at the sight of a giant, larger than any they had seen, asleep with snores flattening the surrounding flora. The children instinctively sought refuge behind Thor as the giant woke, noticing them. With a loud, booming voice, he inquired if they were the ones bold enough to camp in his glove. Thor, taken aback, realized the hall was, in fact, the giant's mitten, finding themselves unexpectedly in the company of a giant. The hall where they had found shelter turned out to be the giant Skrymir's mitten, with the alcove they hid in being the thumb. Thor introduced himself and the giant revealed his name was Skrymir, though friendly, suggested they pool their food and travel together. Seeing the advantage of having a giant's strength on their journey, Thor agreed. The group Thor, Loki, Thialfi, and Roskva followed Skrymir, struggling to match his pace. The journey was exhausting, and even Thor found it challenging to keep up with Skrymir's vast steps. When they stopped to rest and eat, Skrymir took out a large piece of meat from his sack, quickly ate it, and handed the sack to Thor before falling asleep. Thor, famished and eager for food, couldn't untie the knots on the sack, despite his frustration and efforts. Loki tried his magic on the knots, but they wouldn't budge. Resigning themselves to hunger, Loki and the children tried to sleep, But Thor was restless, both from hunger and Skrymir's loud snoring. In desperation, Thor grabbed his hammer and struck Skrymir's head with all his might. The giant merely stirred, muttering about a leaf falling on him, before going back to sleep, leaving Thor dumbfounded at the ineffectiveness of his blow. After a moment of astonishment, Thor prepared to strike again, determined to overcome the challenge posed by the giant's immense resilience in their dire situation. This time, Thor infused his hammer with enchantments, aiming for a significantly more potent strike, and hit Skrymir directly on the forehead, embedding the hammer deep into the giant's skull. Even with this forceful blow, Skrymir only stirred in his sleep, mumbling about a piece of bark hitting him. Thor, known for his invincibility and unparalleled strength, was beyond frustrated his mighty hammer seemed to have no effect on Skrymir. Determined, Thor tried once more, but when Skrymir merely suggested an acorn might have hit him, Thor resigned, unable to sleep from his mixture of irritation and disbelief. As dawn broke, Skrymir, unbothered by the night's events, announced he would be parting ways with Thor and his companions, directing them towards Utgard, the castle of Thor Loki, the king of giants, and warning them of even greater giants residing there. Despite Skrymir's cautionary advice, Thor, driven by his nature, led his group towards the castle. Arriving in a few hours, they were small enough to slip through the castle's fence, eventually finding themselves before Thor Loki himself. True to Skrymir's words, Thor Loki was immense and imposing. He laughed heartily upon seeing Thor, mocking his size despite the legends surrounding the god of thunder. Thor, angered yet resolute, declared his size irrelevant, standing firm in the face of ridicule and prepared to prove his worth and strength, regardless of the giant's taunts or the challenges that lay ahead. Loki, after enduring the hardships of their journey and feeling the pangs of hunger from days without food, stepped up to defend Thor's honor. He challenged the giants to find someone who could out-eat him, confident in his insatiable appetite. Thor Loki, the king of the giants, accepted the challenge and called forth his cook to compete against Loki. The table was set with an abundant feast, and at the signal, both Loki and the cook started eating voraciously. Loki, driven by hunger and determination, consumed everything with great speed. But when he finished, he realized the cook had not only eaten all the food, but also the bones, platters, and even the table itself. Thor Loki dismissed Loki, who was left feeling defeated and embarrassed. Thor, not deterred by Loki's defeat, then offered his own challenge, proclaiming his ability to outdrink anyone. A massive horn was presented to him, with the giant king claiming it could be emptied in 1 or 2 gulps by their champion. Thor, confident in his drinking prowess, attempted to drain the horn. Despite his best efforts and a deep, sustained effort, the level of the liquid barely changed. Thor, known for his immense capacity for drink, was astounded that he couldn't make a noticeable difference in the horn's contents, facing a challenge that seemed insurmountable, even with his legendary abilities. After his failed attempt to drink from the horn, Thor spat out the salty liquid, frustrated and bewildered. Loki, ever the provocateur, quietly mocked Thor's performance, suggesting disappointment in the god's abilities. This mockery didn't sit well with Thialfi, the peasant's son who had come to admire Thor during their journey. Eager to defend Thor, Thialfi volunteered to race against Thor Loki's fastest giant, Hugi. The race commenced, and the first round appeared to end in a tie, prompting a second race. However, in this next attempt, Hugi easily outpaced Thialfi, securing a clear victory before Thialfi could even react properly. Thor Loki, amused, taunted Thor about the apparent lack of prowess among his group. In response to the giant king's mocking invitation, Thor accepted the challenge to lift Thor Loki's cat, a task that seemed straightforward enough. Approaching the cat with determination, Thor attempted to lift it. Despite his immense strength, he managed to raise only one of the cat's paws off the ground. The cat, unbothered, playfully swatted at Thor, remaining largely unmoved by his efforts. Frustrated and seeking to reclaim his dignity, Thor requested one final challenge. Utgard Loki then proposed an unusual contender for Thor's next trial, his own nurse. The suggestion was demeaning, implying that Thor's might was comparable only to that of an elderly caretaker, further testing Thor's patience and resolve in the face of these seemingly insurmountable challenges. As Ellie, the 100-year-old nurse, approached, the crowd erupted into laughter. Thor, with all his might, struggled against her, pushing and pulling to no avail. Utgard Loki eventually intervened, urging Thor to cease his efforts. Thor, overwhelmed and seething with frustration, acknowledged his defeat. He believed himself unbeatable until then, and expressed a grudging respect towards Utgard Loki for proving him wrong. Ready to leave with Thialfi, Roskva, and Loki, Thor prepared to depart, feeling defeated and humiliated. Utgard Loki then revealed a surprising truth. He admitted that Thor and his companions had never been welcome, and to protect his realm, he had resorted to magic to ensure their defeat. Suddenly, the giant king transformed into Skrymir, the same giant Thor had encountered earlier. Skrymir confessed that he had shielded his head with an invisible mountain, rendering Thor's blows harmless and explaining why the mighty hammer had no effect. He then pointed to the valleys in the distance, claiming they were the indents left by Thor's hammer strikes. Skrymir continued to unveil the truth behind each challenge. Loki's eating contest opponent, Wildfire, was actually fire itself, which consumes all in its path, explaining why Loki could not out-eat him. Thialfi's racing opponent had been thought impossible to outrun. Thor's drinking challenge was against the ocean itself, a feat beyond any, yet Thor's drinking had indeed affected the ocean's tides, a testament to his incredible strength. Finally, the cat Thor attempted to lift was Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent, encircling the world. The crowd had gasped, fearing Thor might actually lift the serpent, altering the world's balance. This revelation painted the day's events in a new light, showing Thor and his companions that their efforts, though seemingly futile, had indeed been mighty feats. Utgard Loki's challenges were lessons in humility and the limits of strength, even for gods. In the presence of everyone, it was clear that the potential lifting of Jormungandr by Thor could have triggered apocalyptic chaos, aligning with prophecies of the world's end. Ellie, embodying old age, had nearly been bested by Thor, indicating his substantial, albeit unrecognized, victories. Skrymir Utgard Loki acknowledged Thor's achievements, admitting that despite the deceptive challenges, Thor had proven his formidable strength. However, he urged Thor not to return, hinting at the respect and fear Thor's power inspired, even among giants. Thor, only partially consoled by Skrymir's explanations, readied his hammer in anger, intending to destroy Utgard Loki's realm as retribution. But before he could act, the castle and its surroundings vanished into a thick mist, erasing any target for his wrath. The giant's world had become unreachable, leaving Thor with no choice but to head back to Asgard, feeling his quest was unfulfilled and his reputation diminished in the giant's eyes. Despite the perceived humiliation, Thor's confrontations with nature's extremities, fire, thought, the ocean, the Midgard serpent, and old age itself had indeed left an indelible mark. These feats underscored his resilience and power. So even though he returned to Asgard without the victory he sought, Thor could indeed stand tall once more, reassured of his strength and valor, ready to face any future challenges with renewed determination and pride. Story 8. Balder, the luminous and virtuous god of light and purity, impacted every life he touched positively, earning adoration from all acquainted with him. His twin brother Hodar, who was blind, was treated with immense kindness and care by Balder. Hodar held Balder in high esteem and would never consider causing him harm. One day, Balder awoke at dawn, burdened by a disturbing dream that foretold his own death, leaving him deeply troubled by the ominous significance of this vision. Seeking counsel, Balder visited Odin, who, upon hearing his son's fears, immediately sensed their validity. Odin observed that Baldur's usual innocence was now mingled with a grave awareness. Odin hastened to his throne at Hlidskjalf, seeking a divine vision for clarity. There, the image of Vala, the seeress, came to him, indicating that he must venture into Hel's realm to seek answers from Vala's grave about Baldur's fate. Odin embarked on a long journey to Hel, moving stealthily to avoid alerting Hel, the ruler of the underworld. Most of Hel's minions paid him no heed, preoccupied with preparations for a significant forthcoming event. Upon reaching Vala's grave, Odin sat, concealing his identity, hoping not to be recognized by the prophetess. Vala, known for her omniscience regarding both the future and the past, possessed vision that nothing could elude. Her insights could only be invoked through the ancient magic of the runes, which Odin prepared to use to uncover the truth about his cherished son, Baldur's destiny. Shrouded in darkness with a mist swirling around the tombstone, Odin summoned Vala, seeking insights into Baldur's prophesied fate. Vala's ominous declaration that Baldur's brother would be his slayer retreated into silence, leaving Odin with more questions. Despite Odin's pleas for further details, especially about who Hel was preparing for, Vala offered no more information, leaving Odin to ponder the unthinkable possibility of Hodar, Baldur's beloved twin, being the cause of such tragedy. Returning to Asgard, Odin shared his heavy heart with Frigg, who, determined to protect their son, devised a plan to secure Baldur's safety. She resolved to traverse the 9 realms, securing a vow from every entity, be it living, inert, or elemental, not to harm Baldur. True to her word, Frigg's journey was fruitful, with all beings committing to Baldur's well-being, rendering him invulnerable to harm. This led to a new pastime among the Aesir, where they delighted in witnessing weapons harmlessly bounce off Baldur, celebrating his bestowed invincibility. Baldur's universal adoration grew, except in the heart of Loki, whose envy deepened into a dark resolve to find a means to Baldur's end. Despite Frigg's comprehensive efforts, Loki, cunning and resourceful, sought a loophole. Disguised as a beggar woman, Loki approached Frigg, aiming to unearth any overlooked vulnerability that could be exploited to fulfill his sinister intent. Frigg, delighted to extend her hospitality, engaged with the beggar woman Loki had disguised himself as. As they conversed, Loki, feigning ignorance, brought up Baldur's potential vulnerability to the weapons being playfully cast at him. Frigg confidently assured that Baldur was beyond harm, crediting the oaths she had gathered from all beings. However, upon Loki's probing, Frigg inadvertently revealed a single oversight, a small, unassuming plant called mistletoe, deemed too insignificant to swear an oath. Seizing this crucial piece of information, Loki hastily departed, shedding his disguise. He located the mistletoe by Valhalla, harvested it, and crafted a sharp-tipped arrow, its lethal potential hidden beneath its innocuous appearance. Returning to where Baldur was amidst his invulnerable display, Loki noticed Hodar's isolation. Loki, under the guise of inclusivity, offered Hodar a way to participate, guiding him to aim the mistletoe-tipped arrow at Baldur. As Hodar, unaware of the true nature of the missile he launched, released the arrow, a deadly silence replaced the expected laughter and joviality. Hodar, puzzled by the sudden absence of mirth, realized something had gone gravely wrong, his action unwittingly guided by Loki's malevolent influence, bringing the prophecy to a tragic fulfillment. The deafening silence marked Baldur's fall, his lifeless form surrounded by aghast onlookers, the impact of his death sending shock waves of sorrow throughout Asgard. Discovering Hodar was the unwitting perpetrator, he was exiled, bearing the weight of his action in solitude, unable to voice the deceit that led to the tragedy. Frigg, engulfed in her despair, implored Hermod to plead with Hel for Baldur's return, a mission so daunting that even the bravest trembled. As preparations for Baldur's funeral unfolded, Odin and Frigg, along with the gods, escorted his body to the sea for a pyre lighting a final farewell. Nanna, unable to live with her loss, joined Baldur in death, casting herself into the flames. The gods, in a profound display of respect and mourning, adorned the pyre with their most cherished treasures, including Draupnir, Odin's magic ring. As the vessel carried Balder and Nanna, it vanished into the darkness, marking Balder's passage from the realm of the living. Meanwhile, Hermod undertook a relentless journey to Hel, enduring the hardships of the 9 realms. His determination saw him pass the vigilant guardians of Hel's domain, invoking Balder's name to gain passage. Upon arrival, he found Balder and Nanna seemingly at peace, yet Hel observed Hermod's plea with cold indifference. Despite Hermod's fervent appeals, Hel remained unmoved, her heart as unyielding as the realm she ruled. Hermod knelt, his plea a testament to Balder's significance. Without him, Asgard faced a bleak future, devoid of the light and purity Balder embodied. For 3 days and nights, Hermod persisted, his entreaties echoing the collective desperation of Asgard. Yet Hel's stance was as immutable as fate, her decision ensnaring Balder in the afterlife, leaving Asgard to grapple with the void left by his absence in the unchangeable decree of destiny. Hel, the sovereign of the underworld, finally relented under the persistence of Hermod's pleas, proposing a condition for Balder's release. If everything in Asgard, both living and non-living, mourned for Balder, he would be freed. Otherwise, he would remain in Hel. Hermod, buoyed by hope, for he knew the deep affection all held for Balder, including Hodor, the inadvertent agent of his demise, accepted her terms and hurried back to Asgard to share the hopeful news. Odin, upon hearing Hermod's report, dispatched messengers throughout the realms to secure the universal mourning required for Balder's return. The world responded, and tears flowed, promising Balder's release as the Tree of Life itself was awash with grief. Yet the collective hope was dashed when an old beggar woman, encountered in the shadows of a cave by a returning messenger, refused to weep for Balder. This refusal brought a halt to the outpouring of sorrow, and with it, Balder's potential return. Odin, confronted with this failure, sought out the source of this intransigence. Gazing into the dry eyes of the beggar woman, he recognized the malicious intent hidden behind the guise. It was Loki, the orchestrator of the tragedy, whose refusal to mourn sealed Balder's fate. Loki's deception, now fully unveiled, marked him as the true perpetrator of Balder's death, his actions culminating in a grief that would forever shadow Asgard. The realization of Loki's ultimate betrayal underscored the depth of his enmity, revealing the extent of his machinations against Balder and the gods, and leaving Asgard to mourn the irrevocable loss of its brightest sun. The violation of Asgard's sacred code, with bloodshed by one of their own, heralded dire consequences. The realm trembled under the weight of the gods' fury as they sought retribution against Loki for his unforgivable transgressions. In a desperate bid for escape, Loki morphed into a fly, attempting to evade Odin's relentless pursuit. Despite his cunning, the determination of the gods to bring him to justice was unyielding. Loki sought refuge in the remote mountains, constructing a cabin with strategic openings on every side to monitor any approaching threat. His days were spent in the guise of a salmon, biding his time in the solitude of nature, a life marked by simplicity yet shadowed by the constant dread of divine vengeance. From his celestial vantage, Odin observed, waiting for Loki's vigilance to wane. As Loki let his guard down, crafting what would become known as the fishnet, the gods, led by Kvasir, renowned for his wisdom, closed in. Discovering the unfinished net and discerning Loki's transformation into a salmon through the telltale sign of scales, Kvasir deduced their quarry's latest form. Resolving to ensnare Loki with his own invention, the gods approached the stream with the net, ready to capture him at dawn. However, Loki, ever the escape artist, sensed the trap and navigated beneath the net, avoiding capture with his characteristic cunning. Despite the gods' best efforts and Kvasir's insight, Loki's shrewdness presented a formidable challenge, embodying the cat and mouse game that had long defined his relationship with the other deities. Yet, this episode merely set the stage for an inevitable confrontation, as the gods were determined to exact punishment for the chaos Loki had wrought upon Asgard. Realizing Loki's ability to evade their traps, Kvasir directed the gods to weigh down the net with stones, eliminating the possibility of swimming beneath. Yet Loki, spotting the adjusted snare, attempted a daring leap over it. Just as freedom seemed within his grasp, Thor's swift intervention thwarted his escape. Captured in the guise of a salmon, Loki was forced by Thor to reassume his true form, only to be faced with the prospect of a dire punishment. Odin intervened at the moment Thor sought to end Loki's life, declaring death too lenient for his crimes. Instead, Odin decreed a more enduring sentence, commanding Loki's confinement in a cavern deep within the realms of Hel. There, a grim scene unfolded as Loki's sons were transformed by a curse, with Vali becoming a wolf and turning on his brother Narfi, a spectacle of horror witnessed by their father. Narfi's entrails, now imbued with magical properties, became the bonds that held Loki fast to three great stones, ensuring his immobilization. These bindings tightened with Loki's every attempt to escape, a relentless reminder of his inescapable fate. This punishment was designed not just to incapacitate Loki, but to serve as a lasting testament to the consequences of betrayal and deceit within the pantheon, ensuring that his guile and trickery could no longer threaten the cosmos. The god's sentence for Loki was merciless, positioned precariously above a chasm. Any struggle could send him plummeting. Sigyn, Loki's devoted wife, stood by him, catching the venom from a poised serpent in a bowl to spare him from its agony. Despite her vigil, the moments she left to empty the bowl were marked by Loki's torment and the consequential tremors felt in Asgard, a grim precursor to the cataclysm foretold. Ragnarok, the prophesied doom of the gods and the unraveling of the cosmos, was set into motion by Baldur's death and Loki's ensuing punishment. This twilight of the gods marked the cessation of Asgard's eternal grandeur, signaling the end of an age where divine and mundane realms existed in harmonious balance. As evil permeated the nine worlds, the cosmic balance shifted, heralding the onset of an unending winter. This frigid, relentless season, heralded by Loki's capture and the gods' departure, stripped the world of warmth and light, leaving it buried under snow and ice. Human virtue waned as cold and darkness took hold, giving way to a period marked by rampant crime and the loss of compassion. Ragnarok was not merely the end of the gods, but a fundamental transformation of the world itself, a cycle of destruction and rebirth where the old order must perish for a new era to begin. In this mythic end, the gods faced their destiny, and the world, as it was known, dissolved into chaos, awaiting the emergence of a new order from the ruins of the old. This cycle, emblematic of Norse cosmology, reflects the belief in the inevitable decline and renewal of existence, where from the ashes of the old world, a new one, purged of its predecessors' follies, would arise. As the cosmos unraveled, the very stars were cast down, signaling the unleashing of chaos. Loki, freed alongside the monstrous Fenrir, stepped forth, eager for vengeance against those who had shackled them. Beneath the great Yggdrasil, the world tree trembled, its very foundations threatened by Nidhogg, the dragon gnawing ceaselessly at its roots. This act of destruction echoed through the realms, signaling the onset of Ragnarok. Heimdall, the vigilant guardian, sounded the Jallarhorn, its alarming call a harbinger of the final battle, stirring gods and men alike into a frenzy of preparation and fear. The gods, casting aside their luxurious trappings, armed themselves for the conflict foretold since time's dawn. Together they marched across the Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, towards the plains of Vigrid, the prophesied site of their last stand. Amidst this upheaval, the world serpent, Jormungandr, awakened by the turmoil, unleashed tidal havoc upon the earth. Its emergence from the sea heralded the release of Naglfar, the ship made of dead men's nails, a grim fleet bearing Loki and his allies towards their fateful confrontation. Loki, embodying chaos, steered this macabre vessel, rallying the forces of Muspelheim, the fire giants, to his cause. Simultaneously, Hel's own ship, laden with frost giants and helmed by Hermod, advanced towards Vegrid, their presence a testament to centuries of pent-up wrath and anticipation for the apocalypse. This convergence of forces, celestial and infernal alike, marked the beginning of the end. Ragnarok was not merely a battle, but an event predestined to reshape the fabric of the universe. In this cataclysmic twilight, gods and monsters clashed in a spectacle of valor and vengeance, each blow and counterblow reverberating through the shaken cosmos, leading to the inevitable rebirth of a world cleansed by fire and blood. A cycle of destruction and renewal central to Norse mythology's profound reflections on the impermanence and renewal of life. As the forces converged on Vigrid, the scene was one of cosmic upheaval. Hel emerged from her shadowy domain, accompanied by deathly forces and the fearsome hound Garm. In a dramatic turn, Surtur and his sons, embodying fire and destruction, shattered the Bifrost, severing the connection between realms, signaling the irreversible commencement of Ragnarok. Odin, seeking insight in his final moments, visited the Well of Mimir, but found no counsel from the wise head that once offered guidance, a sign that the fate of the gods was sealed. He returned to the battlefield, confronted by the stark realization of his impotence in the face of destiny. The combatants arrayed themselves, gods and allies, against the amassed forces of chaos fire giants, frost giants, the undead, and Loki with his progeny, in an air thick with malice and the reek of malevolence. Despite the ominous air, the gods stood resolute, prepared for a battle that would close the chapter of their era. The clash was immediate and devastating. Odin encountered Fenrir, and in a pivotal moment, was devoured by the monstrous wolf, a sight that ignited Thor's wrath. Thor engaged Jormungandr in a titanic struggle, ultimately succumbing to the serpent's lethal breath after delivering the fatal blow. The confrontation between Heimdall and Loki ended in mutual destruction, their final conflict engulfed in a blinding light, erasing both from existence. Vidar, silent but vengeful, sought retribution for Odin's fall, confronting Fenrir with a fury that mirrored the profound loss of the Allfather. This battle, like others on the field of Vigrid, was not merely a conflict of might but a symbol of the cyclical struggle between order and chaos, life and death, renewal and destruction that underpins the Norse cosmological vision. In the decisive moments of Ragnarok, Vidar, embodying silent vengeance, utilized a shoe fashioned specifically for this confrontation, allowing him to vanquish Fenrir by tearing the beast apart. This act of retribution, though valiant, was but a single moment of victory in a tapestry of devastation. Frey, the last of the gods standing, fought with unmatched bravery, felling giant after giant. Yet, the ominous warmth on his neck heralded Surtur's approach, whose fiery onslaught spelled doom not just for Frey but for the entirety of the realms. Surtur's rage, manifest in consuming flames, obliterated the resplendent abodes of the gods and the worlds under their care. The seas boiled over, and a suffocating smoke veiled the fires, heralding the universe's return to its primordial state. As the fires of Surtur extinguished the life of the nine worlds, existence as it was known receded into void and chaos, fulfilling the prophecy of Ragnarok. The cosmos was reset to its original formlessness, a void where time and space merged into an indistinguishable abyss. Yet, from this desolation, as foretold in Norse myth, a new world would emerge. The cycle of creation and destruction is not an end but a transition, a belief deeply rooted in the Norse understanding of the universe. From the ashes of the old world, a new one would rise, pristine and untouched, ready to be inhabited by survivors and new beings alike. This cycle underscores the Norse cosmological view of an eternal return, where end and beginning are but points on a continuum of existence. The myths of Ragnarok not only depict the end, but also hint at the regeneration of life, suggesting the resilience of the cosmos and the perpetual hope for renewal. Story 9. Beyond the stark beauty of ancient Scandinavia, where the auroras weave light through the heavens, a saga breathes life into the silent forests. In this land, shrouded in the lingering dusk of myths, the story of the Vikings begins to unfold. Born of rugged fjords and nurtured under the mesmerizing dance of the northern lights, these warriors and explorers set forth from their formidable homeland, carving their legacy into the annals of history. As twilight engulfs the Nordic landscapes, the air thrums with the reverberations of age-old sagas. By the warm, flickering fires, tales of the fierce Norsemen come alive, narrating their daring exploits across the seas. From the 9th to the 11th centuries, their voyages extended far beyond familiar territories, reaching the icy expanses of Greenland and venturing into the uncharted lands of North America. Whispered through the winds of time, these adventurers are often remembered as fearless raiders, their spirits unbreakable, hearts ablaze with the thirst for discovery and conquest. Yet their story is not one-sided, it is a complex tapestry that blends warfare with exploration, revealing a people with an insatiable curiosity and a profound connection to their world. Story 10. In the silent whispers of the cosmos, where existence itself lingered as but a shadow, two realms emerged from the void: Niflheim, a domain ensconced in eternal mist, and Muspelheim, a realm of flame with ceaseless fire. Between these stark contrasts, Ginnungagap, a vast abyss, awaited, setting the stage for a cataclysmic convergence. It was from this primal clash that Ymir, the progenitor of the frost giants, came into being, heralding the dawn of an era marked by inherent conflict and the intricate dance of creation and destruction. From Niflheim's fog and Muspelheim's fire, life was kindled in Audhumla, a celestial cow whose boundless nourishment not only sustained Ymir but also brought forth Beri, the first of the gods. Thus was the lineage of giants and gods initiated, their destinies forever intertwined in the shaping of the cosmos. The saga of Bor and his valiant sons, Odin, Vili, and Ve, is a tale of heroic defiance against Ymir's icy tyranny. Their triumph over the primordial giant reshaped the fabric of the universe. Mimir's defeat was transformative. His flesh became the earth, his bones the mountains, and his blood the seas. The dwarfs, emerging from the earth, bore the sky aloft, crafting from Ymir's skull the dome of the heavens, supported at its corners by the cardinal dwarfs Nordri, Sudri, Austri, and Vestri. In the lush forests and protective fortifications of Midgard, the realm of humanity, arose from Ymir's remains, encapsulating the vibrancy and resilience of life. From the remnants of Ymir's vast form, the heavens were skillfully wrought, his scattered brains giving birth to the brooding clouds that roam the sky. Muspelheim's ferocious flames, captured and tamed, became the stars that now twinkle in the night's canvas, a testament to the gods' craftsmanship. The sun and moon, splendid in their gleaming chariots and steered by the noble steeds Arvakr and Alsvidr, commenced their eternal odyssey across the firmament. Their perpetual journey, a dance of light and shadow, dictates the cadence of day and night, a celestial symphony that underpins the existence of all realms. This creation, this majestic tapestry woven from the cosmic duel of fire and ice, marked the beginning of a grand narrative that spans the breadth of the world. It's a saga rich with celestial origins, where the whispers of gods and the echoes of giants linger in the vast silence of the universe. This narrative, rooted in the profound legacies of divine architects and their colossal counterparts, unfolds across the endless expanse of time and space, a perpetual reminder of the intricate balance that sustains the cosmos. In this enduring legacy, the ancient Norse envisioned a universe alive with mythic potency, where every star in the night sky, every cloud that sails the heavens, holds a story of creation, conflict, and the enduring spirit of the divine in the Titanic. Thus the world, in all its complexity and beauty, continues to echo the ancient sagas of its making, a world where gods, giants, and mortals alike share in the endless cycle of creation and rebirth. Story 11. In the nascent light of a world newly emerged from the chaos of creation, Odin, the All-Father and Supreme Deity, journeyed across the newly sculpted earth alongside his brothers, Hoenir and Loki. They wandered beneath the expansive canopy birthed from Ymir's essence, now manifesting as the oceans and skies, marveling at the majesty of their handiwork. Yet, amid this serene landscape, a profound silence and emptiness called out, yearning for the breath of life. Meandering along the ocean's edge, where the waves softly shared secrets with the shore, the gods stumbled upon two pieces of driftwood, shaped by time and tide gifts from the sea. A divine spark of creativity ignited within them. Hoenir, casting his gaze upon one, shaped it into the outline of humanity. Loki, ever the trickster, animated the other, making it dance in the golden sunlight. Then came Odin's turn with his divine breath. He infused life into the wood. The first piece transformed into a woman, serene and radiant with potential. The second, touched by Odin's breath, revealed a man, equally vibrant with the nascent spark of life. Loki, the shapeshifter, endowed the woman with youth, understanding, and the richness of senses, awakening her to a world anew. To the man, he granted the vigor of life and depth of perception, enabling him to rise and stand with his companion. Hoenir completed their creation by gifting them speech, the final touch to their humanity. Thus, the first humans, hand in hand, stepped forward into the uncharted world, embarking on a journey destined to intertwine with the annals of time. Odin named the mask an Embla, honoring their origins from driftwood. He cloaked Embla in his protection, entrusting her to Ask's guardianship, a bond the Vikings held as eternal, spanning the river of time. This moment marked not only the birth of humanity, but also the beginning of a legacy, one where gods and humans shared a world filled with wonders, challenges, and the endless unfolding of destinies.